Hello and welcome to my podcast. Do me a favor, subscribe to the John Keim Report wherever you get your podcast. You're watching on YouTube, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. You can find us there as part of Ampire Media, Ampire. Always much appreciated when you tune in. And don't forget, you can always read my work on ESPN.com. Today, I'm going to be joined by the voice of the Commanders, Bram Weinstein, as we kind of dig into the first couple games, just some early impressions, and talking a lot about, Jaden Daniels, some red zone stuff, where this guy can improve and where he is going to improve, because I feel pretty confident that he's going to get there. So before I get there, one small update for you Gold members. I'm going to do a private Zoom at 7:30 p.m. Eastern time on Thursday night again. And that night seems to work well. So you Gold members, take advantage. We'll chat. We'll go from there and hopefully enjoy it. So anyways, that's it. Gold members, 7:30 Zoom Eastern time, or 7:30 p.m. Eastern time on Thursday. So that's it for me. Here's my conversation with the voice of the Commanders, Bram Weinstein. Okay, Bram, 1-1 going on to face the Bengals. What are your thoughts after two games and just kind of where you think this team is headed?
I think the offense is a little ahead of where I thought it would be. And I think the defense is still finding out how to mask their weaknesses. So that's where I kind of am on them. I think offensively, having scored on 7 true drives a week ago, what could have been 12 of 15 if they made a couple field goals in the first game, not turning the ball over, only once really in any danger of turning the ball over. Jaden's kind of calm, collected feel for everything. We can kind of talk about his running and decision-making if you want a little bit, but overall for a baseline, or as Fred Smoot talked about the other day when I was talking to him, this is ground zero. What's next? I really like what I see. I'm not surprised that they're leaning into becoming a power run team and that be more run oriented. I'm not surprised at all that it's going in that direction. Defensively, can they get a consistent pass rush? Do they have corners that can hold up to the pressure of dealing with top tier wide receivers? These are things we've been talking about since March, and I don't think we have a clear answer on either one of those yet.
Well, unfortunately, in some cases, we may have clear answers. I'm just not sure people want to hear those answers at this point. To me, that's kind of the problem. I think we knew it was going to be a problem then. I think it's become, and it's playing out that way. And so, I think St. Juice has done fine, but I don't think they have the corners that they're going to ultimately want to go forward when they get to the level that they want to. I'm staying with the offense though, because I think it is something that to me, I agree with you. I think it's a little bit ahead. So I'll be curious to see what they do. Are you surprised with the run game at all, as far as maybe how well it looked on Sunday, and what is your expectation for it moving forward?
Yeah, maybe how effective it was. And I mean, 200 yards on the ground's a lot. So, without having some crazy play, where Jaden scrambled and it turned into some 60-yard run, it was all pretty traditional. So that's very telling. Probably more about the Giants too. I mean, it's very telling. So I am surprised it's working that well, but I think we've talked about this through the summer. If you just look at the profile of the team, and what they have, especially with, I'll be proven wrong if they can showcase explosive plays down the field in the passing game. I just don't know that they have the profile of the players to do that a lot. And that they kind of went in a direction where a lot of their receivers are very physical players, blockers. They want willing participants this way. And this tandem of B-Rob and Eckler, because Eckler looks like he did a few years ago. Like the whole, did he lose a step? He doesn't look it at all. No. I mean, we kind of saw that during the summer. I'm not surprised that this is the direction they're going. And I think that they've wanted to kind of keep a lid on letting Jaden completely out of, and let him just do literally everything. And this is an easy way to protect it, is to run the ball a lot. And if you're going to do it effectively, it's great. I thought Sam Cosmi was just outstanding in the Giants game. I thought Nick Allegretti was pretty good. In this one, the interior line had some issues in the Tampa game, but that was a very different scheme. Exotic blitzes and all that stuff were coming. I thought Andrew Wiley looked pretty good in this game when they run the ball.
When they run the ball.
When they run the ball, I get this feeling from him that he's kind of a guard in a tackle's body, not unlike Cosmi a little bit, that he might be best served long-term being that position, but he's their right tackle. He's very good, very mobile in the run game.
Correct.
And I actually thought Cornelius Lucas looked pretty good the other day as well. So one of the big issues was offensive line. Pass blocking's interesting still. But that said, I'm not surprised that this is the direction that they're going if you just look at kind of the makeup of the players that they have.
And it's funny because I know, again, we pointed this out a lot before the season that Kingsbury's offense in Arizona, they ran the ball a lot. Like number of rushes in Arizona was always like around the top 10 for his whole tenure there. So it's not a surprising there. But I do agree. And I think that's where they're going to have to listen. If you can control the ball like they did, 37 minutes a game is a little bit much. But if you can at least control it, but then finish with some touchdowns, when you look at the red zone and, I always say, like, if we had the answers for this, we're on the coaching staff. But just from our press box view, what is your perception of what, besides the penalties, is there anything you can point to say, like, this is what I think is going on down there? Or is it, or is it matter of like, hey, the more reps you get, the better you're going to get at it?
So first I want to point out they were 3 for 3 in the red zone against Tampa.
Right.
So, and people forget that part because they lost. 0 for 5 or 0 for 6. What was it? 0 for 6?
Yeah. Yeah.
But I mean, like one of them's the last drive of the game and they're, setting up for a game winning field goal. So I wouldn't count that, but 5 true times they go down there, they do not score. Penalties are a big deal. 2 of them were Jaden took bad sacks. Yeah. Honestly. I mean, like that's 2 of them. Yep. And this is where we can have a conversation about him a little bit, execution in a shorter field where, there's not a lot of space to roam, I think is different. And so him extending plays, looking to throw, the time ran short on him, maybe less than, I think he's probably accustomed to inside the 20s. This is another moment of, don't forget, this is his second game. It's going to take some time. And, his internal clock, I still felt like was a little sped up in game 2 as it was in game 1, albeit I love his instincts and I love how he protects the ball. And I obviously love his playmaking ability. And it was really great to see the intermediate pass game show up after it wasn't there in week 1. So this is all really positive, good. His metrics look great. He's passing the eye test like A++, especially after 2 games. Like it's just really, it's outstanding if this is the baseline. But in the red zone, I could see where he vacates pockets a little bit early, they make a mistake, they can't seem to overcome them. And on a short field like that, the execution just isn't there. And I think this is just kind of this is a very new thing that's going on. I think everybody needs to get on the same page. I think people need to be patient. And down there, where a lot of the plays that are being made in between the 20s are him taking off and doing things with his legs, there's just not going to be a lot of space for that, like between the 20 and the 5, like until they get to a point where they're right on the goal line and they want to make a choice, like a zone read choice or a design run. That's totally different. But him running around trying to find space, it's just kind of not there. So I don't want to put it on him, but I will tell you, like, I do believe that some of it is his maturation in those spots will go a long way to them executing better. Because even in a couple of occasions, he took sacks that he couldn't take down there.
And I also think, Bram, what's going to happen too he is so talented running the ball. They're going to see a lot of zone coverage down there to prevent. So when he was running the other day, you have multiple sets of eyes on him. And I'm going to go back to when Robert was a rookie. So, and I, for the record, I've always said they are different quarterbacks. Jaden is a much better, much more advanced passer than he was, especially as a rookie. So I don't think the comparison between the two is accurate. But in terms of this is where I'll say, like, as Robert was a rookie, I think this is where you can have some hope for this offense in the red zone, that he improved as a passer in the red zone as a rookie. And I remember asking Mike Shanahan at the time, like, does that mean he's gotten it right? And he said, no, it wasn't really about that. He goes, it was about that they only started playing them zone in the red zone, and it helped simplify the coverage, what they needed to do, et cetera. So I think if they continue that, it should simplify how they're going to attack that, which could help then maybe improve some numbers. That's like, then do you have the guys to make it work in the pass game and the skill set? So, I think that's something to watch as well. So I don't know. I don't know if that.
There's like one other thing I would just kind of bring up here and just thinking about it. Like, so when you played Tampa Bay, they've got high level receivers there, and they're setting up one-on-ones with Mike Evans and a good pass and good execution. You're gonna have trouble stopping it. For Washington, like, who are going to be the people they want to target in the red
Right.
zone, like, and feel like that they're going to get really good matchups with them? Is it Ertz? Is it, outside of on the ground? When they get inside the five, I love, like the ability to potentially
Right.
score with any number of options, specifically on the ground. Daniels, B Rob, Eckler, take your choice. Like, I think they're going to be very
I mean,
effective down
Jaden's
there.
showing he can hurt you there too.
Yes. But like in the 20 and in where you've got to throw for it, what are you setting up and to who?
Right.
And who do you think you're getting favorable matchups with? And that's a question for Cliff Kingsbury. And that could be part of this too. Like, do they have what they feel like are really dominant one-on-one players on a short field? And I don't know that we've seen that yet. That said, I just think overall, this is going to be, another thing that they just have to work on. And I just, people just should not lose sight of. They've played 2 games together with a rookie quarterback. Like it's going to, nothing just is automatic and starts working. I mean, go look at high level Hall of Fame caliber quarterbacks that have issues with certain parts of the field, having been in the league for 5, 6 years. This is a hard game. And I just think they're off to a really good start. I think that was a aberrational game that we saw the other day. Like, I think penalties really hurt them. Otherwise, they would have scored a couple touchdowns. I do think Jaden took a couple plays he'd like to have back when he ran and should have just gotten rid of the ball and just extended it a little too long. Like, his clock is just not quite there yet, but I feel like it's going to get there, and I feel good about what I see so far.
Oh, I would be, if I'm a fan, I'd be very encouraged by what I've seen from him. Like if you look at, and I haven't watched a lot of the rookie quarterbacks, but what you hear and when I've seen them, Daniels looks way more comfortable than I think the other ones do. And he doesn't have as much around him as, say, a Caleb Williams. Now, for whatever reason, right? But I do think Jaden looks more comfortable. The other thing is, too, in the red zone, I think one of the things I appreciate about him that, last year, there were times where I felt like Howell didn't see somebody in time and that you could have gotten this off if you're seeing it, whatever. I don't feel like there's that with Daniels. Like, I feel like he's, maybe he needs to throw it away to avoid those sacks. But I feel like he's taking care of the ball down there too.
Yes.
And I think that's a mature thing on his. You're not seeing the Will Levis nonsensical flips by Jaden Daniels anywhere. Not,
or even
well,
like
we saw it. I guess
go watch the end of the Monday night game where Jalen Hurts just like, I don't know what he was thinking, throwing the ball up like that Jesse Bates picked off. Like, Daniels, he will have obviously bad decisions, but he doesn't seem to make many of them.
No.
Like, this is where I like go back to, like, we could nitpick a lot of the things that he's doing through 2 games, but instinctually and his desire to protect the ball, like, he doesn't make bad decisions with it. And like, clearly, like, he's going to take a hit and fumble here or there. He fumbled in week 1 on the strip sack. Like, those things are going to happen, but he's thrown like 1 or 2 passes that were dangerous plays, but not by bad decision. Like,
correct.
The Ertz one was just a little late. It was like
he got hit on the throw.
It just, the ball was a little bit late. That's all.
He got hit on the throw too, Bram.
Yeah.
I think he couldn't follow through on that. I think that impacted it as much as anything. But you're right, the decision was good.
Yeah,
I really like. And the only other time where he ran one time up the middle on a scramble where he kind of like to squeeze through, he kind of extends the ball. He's got to be careful with that. But I don't have any quibbles with his decision making.
No, I think I'm very encouraged. Like, again, what Smoot said, like, this is ground zero. I agree. If this is ground zero, what's stage 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 with him? Like, I'm very excited about what we're going to get here.
And it's funny because this Monday is going to be the first chance for the national audience to see him.
Yeah.
Guys like this tend to make special plays in these moments. And I don't know, like, it's a little bit harder in football because you need other guys to help you. But what are you most curious to see from him Monday night and how he responds that stage?
I haven't, as we're taping this, I have really not watched a lot of the Bengals yet. So it's hard for me to really answer that question other than I'm interested to see how much pressure does that team bring or have they brought so far?
They don't blitz much.
Yeah. And, I think the Giants pressured more than they did in week 1, probably because they saw what happened, in week 1 where he was vacating pockets very quickly. And I don't, you're taking a chance with him because he's such an elite athlete, but I do think it's kind of the right way to go. I mean, it's actually, it is somewhat respectful of if we give him a pocket, he's going to hurt us, which is, unusual for rookie quarterbacks. It seems to be an understanding of that. And they also may be looking at the Washington offensive line and think that they can be had a little bit, especially in pass protection. So I want to see with Cincinnati. I'm not worried about the stage being too big, if that's what you're insinuating.
No,
I
I think guys like that. No, my point is the opposite.
Yeah.
I don't think it's a stage too big. I think guys like that match the stage.
Yeah. I'm looking forward to see what he does. I'm very concerned. I just listen, I buy that some media narratives matter, and the fact that they're 0-2 and at home, and I have a feeling that they're going to be hearing all week that their season's on the line, and that is Joe Burrow over there. Like, that part worries me. They're going to be walking into Monday night listening to Stephen A scream at them all morning about how their season's on the line and how they stink forever if they lose. I don't like that, so like, I think they're going to be a highly, highly motivated team. But, if you have players that ascend, that stuff doesn't matter. And so this might be very telling if he goes toe to toe with Burrow, because they end up in some high scoring game. And I feel like that's what it's going to be. If Washington's going to win, I think it's going to be a high scoring game. And then he goes toe to toe with him and he pulls it off. Boy, I mean, forget just ground zero. We're talking about a whole different thing with him.
Oh, and that's what I'm excited to see from that standpoint is like, where can he take his game? And I don't think, like, the one thing I would not accept him to do is to force things because you're on a different stage. I don't think that's what he'll do at all. But I think, like, there's guys who are like him just tend to rise up to the moment. And I think that's what I'm curious to see is what does that mean for him at this stage? Because it's going to be fun to watch him. You watch him at LSU in the primetime games and what he did in those games. It was as a freshman, he did this, at Arizona State, and then he did at LSU. So I'm just like, that's what I'm curious to see is like, what does that mean for him at this stage of his development? And there is a long way to go with it. And I think, I know that for fans, it's very hard to continue to wait and to continue to try to cling to hope. But I do think there's something different with Jayden Daniels.
Yeah, I do too. So, I'm interested to see it. Like, so they've played two basically pocket quarterbacks. Jones can run, but he's basically a pocket quarterback, and they haven't stopped either one of them, frankly. So like, I really think that Monday night's about the defense and what kind of improvement we see there, because otherwise I don't really want to get into an up and down boat race game with Cincinnati. No. I have a hard, considering who their receivers are and who that quarterback is. That's a bad recipe unless Washington is going to be able to control the clock again and shorten the game, which could be a recipe to a win too.
Sure. And then you got Kyler Murray up after that. So that defense is going to be really challenged by guys who can move.
I'd be interested to see them against somebody who moves around like that. That's going to be a different look, different test. I wonder if they perform better in a situation like that. I'm not sure.
I don't know, because Baker could do that too, but Kyler is special with it, and he does that to a lot of teams. So anyway, Bram, appreciate your time. Thanks for joining me, and check out his show on Ampire. And there you go. Anything else?
That's it.
All right.
See you Monday.
All right. Thanks, Bram. That's it for this episode. Thanks to Bram for joining me, and thank you, as always, for tuning in. I'll be back on Friday with another update from Commanders facility, kind of talking about the day and wrapping up the day on Thursday. So, and just whatever things I gather from the locker room. Also on Saturday, I'll be joined by Ben Baby from ESPN, who covers the Bengals, talking about Joe Burrow and their impressions of Jayden Daniels. So we're going to talk about that. And then on Sunday, I'll be back with my 5 things I think, helping to get you ready for the game on Monday night. Big game, prime time. Let's go. That's it. I'll talk to you next time.